And it is time for Building Rural Wealth. We have with us Denise Miller. Denise, good morning to you.
Good morning.
How are you?
I'm great.
How was your weekend, Diane? Diane Wise with us as well. How was your weekend?
It was great.
All right, so Building Rural Wealth, this is one that I find interesting because you do hear a lot about this. When one health issue could change everything.
You know, long-term care, that's probably one of the biggest things people start to worry about as they move into retirement, because a health event can change everything.
It certainly can.
At the drop of a hat,
you
it
hear
can
that too.
change
Yes.
in everything. And it's not necessarily, one particular health event. It can be an injury. It can be a diagnosis. And those things can really automatically shift those roles within your household. And the fear isn't just the financial cost. It's the impact that the financial cost can have on your lives. And so today we thought we would talk about why health care can feel, not only long-term care, but health care can feel so heavy for people as they go into retirement.
So let's talk about why it can feel so overwhelming. There are a lot of reasons, but why?
Oh gosh, there's a lot of chaos when you move into retirement. And a lot of that is costs are unpredictable. People don't know what, especially if you're under age 65. People have absolutely no idea. They cannot believe how expensive health insurance is under age 65. The other thing that we run into is people that turn 65 think that Medicare is free. Medicare is not free. And so there's a lot of uncertainty with that as well. Well, how much coverage do I need? What do I need? How do I know? Wow, that's a lot more money than I ever thought it was going to be. And there's rules involved. And the rules get complicated. And so if you're under age 65, there's ACA rules, and there's those kind of rules. And if you're over 65, there's the rules of Medicare. And if you don't know the rules of Medicare and Social Security, that's another big complication that can happen. And, people are so worried about burdening their spouses or their families. And they try to take that stress upon themselves, and they don't communicate, and they don't talk about these things. And, unfortunately, being in the area that we're in a rural setting, and our choices are limited. There's not a lot of options as far as insurance plans and providers and who's in network and who's not in network. And, how far do I have to drive? You might have to drive to Omaha. You might have to drive to Des Moines, depending upon the plan that you enroll in. And I think that's what people are. I think people are just unprepared for what their medical or their health insurance or their long-term care insurance costs are going to be as they head in. That uncertainty creates a lot of chaos.
Yes, and a lot of feelings of. And you combine all those events. You're getting older, statistically speaking. It's more likely that you're going to have an illness. I mean, if you just look at the stats, then you combine insurance and Medicare and all of those things, and it can be just terribly overwhelming.
And I love this analogy. Our daughter Andrea is an occupational therapist, and she hears this all the time. Well, I didn't know I was going to get sick, or I never dreamed I'd have an accident. I never, and she's like, nobody dreams about diagnoses. Nobody dreams about accidents or, changes in their health status. And I think that uncertainty really plays home, really can hammer home and really can create a lot of chaos in your life.
So let's talk. Denise alluded to Medicare.
Yes.
Let's talk about Medicare as a tool. Diane, talk to me about that a little bit.
Okay. Well, as Denise said, Medicare can feel overwhelming, and especially if you have not done your homework on it. It can be very unfamiliar. Most people worry about making the wrong choice, which who wouldn't? And, however, Medicare is not about mastering every detail. It's not an exam. And it's about understanding what Medicare can and does not cover. So Medicare has different parts that serve different purposes. That's something we have talked about on Building Real Wealth before. There are timelines and specific dates to consider, but help does exist. You don't have to figure this out alone. Medicare doesn't have to be perfect. It's just has to be understood. You know, you need to do a little homework in it. And
how many phone calls do we get about, well, what do you mean I have so long to sign up?
Yeah, we get several that don't realize there is a time frame.
There's a timeline.
Yes.
So, and even when Medicare is in place, there are other concerns that people do worry about.
Well, absolutely there are. I mean, there's a lot that goes on with that. So, and we've talked about it. I feel like I'm prepared.
Well, good. I'm so happy you've been listening.
I listen and I listen. My thing is talk to someone that knows what they're talking about and start way in advance.
Good for
That's
you.
what I wanted. That's my plan.
I think that timeline thing, there are so many people who don't understand that timeline.
Yeah.
You basically have 3 months before and 3 months after you turn 65. And so many people don't understand that and don't think about it.
Yeah.
And if you don't do it in that window, there's issues.
Right. Which usually is a financial issue.
Which is usually a financial issue,
Yes.
which can cause more chaos.
Yes. Get the point. Well, you alluded to, and we have talked about, Denise, in the past, long-term care, because this is something else
It is.
that comes up and is very expensive.
It is. I remember sitting here with Jerry, and Jerry saying to me, "What, my long-term care can't be that Melanie is going to come in and take care of me."
Yes.
And I remember Melanie busting in and saying, "No, I'm not going to take care of
Yes.
you."
Oh, gosh.
So, long-term care is something nobody thinks they're going to need. Let's be real.
But many of us are.
I'm never going to fall down the stairs and break my hip. I'm never going to fall down
one
and break
plans
my
on that.
ankle. Nobody plans for that, And it's not only just the accidents, it's also, it can also be, and I hate to say this, but it can also be memory related.
Yes.
Absolutely. And that has become a bigger issue, I feel like, as our population ages.
Yes.
Would you agree with that,
I would.
Diane?
In this community, we are an aging community, and there are a lot of people that have dementia, Alzheimer's, that need the extra care. And that costs extra money.
It does, and I think what the other thing people don't realize is that it doesn't have to not always fit in a box. Sometimes that long-term care can be additional help at home. I mean, there are agencies that will actually come into your home and help you with care, and long-term care doesn't look the way it looked 5 years ago.
Right.
And I think that's the other thing that people, and there's different levels of long-term care. That it can be a home-based, it can be a facility, it can be as simple as daycare. I mean, and unfortunately, again, we're in a rural area with those things that we don't have all those options. But long-term care is not really a what-if question. It's kind of a when question, because at some point, you're probably going to need a little help at home, or a little help with something, or a little help, there are a lot of spouses who are overwhelmed with maybe a memory issue.
It can be very challenging.
Very
challenging.
Very
and expensive.
Challenging.
So with that, okay, you mentioned the rural aspect of it, but also there's a planning. I mean, you kind of have to plan for that.
You do.
Yeah.
Absolutely. And like I said, it's just always good to visit with somebody who knows what those options are.
Absolutely. All right, we are visiting with Denise Miller and Diane Wise from Milestone Financial. So we talk about planning a lot, Diane.
Yes.
Just like long-term care, it's all part of the plan. So let's talk about building healthcare into that bigger picture when we're talking about retirement, planning for retirement. Talk to me about building healthcare into that bigger picture.
Well, healthcare shouldn't be an afterthought. It deserves its own line in the financial plan. You know, we have people that will come in and say, you know, I want to get long-term care. And then when they...
And Medicare is free.
And Medicare is free.
Yeah.
Yes.
Whoops.
Wow.
Okay.
You know, start with current healthcare spending. You know, you need to decide, you know, you're going to have to account for your premiums for your healthcare, out-of-pocket costs, your prescriptions, you know, and expect things to change because, as we all know, things go up as... we seem to go along.
It never goes down.
It never goes down. Well, I don't know why that is. The older you get, things get more expensive.
Yeah.
But try building healthcare directly into your retirement plan, especially, you know, when you see how one can complement the other one. Also consider a health savings account when that is appropriate. You know, HSAs can be very helpful. They allow for pre-tax contributions and tax-free withdrawals for eligible expenses. And HSAs are also one option among many. They're not for everyone, but they are a tool to consider. So, you know.
But all of what we've talked about this morning, from a bad diagnosis, whatever that may be, and it could be many different things, to the uncertainty and the chaos of that whole retirement, the change of life that's going on there. You're moving from being fully occupied to now what am I going to do, to, oh, gosh, Medicare actually costs money. All of these things can be quite stressful.
It can be, absolutely.
And quite emotional for people to deal with.
And
so
that's one of the things that we do at Milestone Financial Group.
Yes.
We try to address all of these things. We want you to know the rules. We want you to know how it works. In addition to your income level, your income streams, and all that kind of stuff, these are all things that we address in a financial plan. And we try to reduce that uncertainty with everybody and help eliminate the chaos people feel.